Okay, so let's just dive right into this. Picture this scene. You've got the pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly, a company that's been on an unbelievable hot streak. They report their quarterly earnings, and the numbers, they're fantastic. A home run by any measure you can think of. But instead of the stock price soaring, it takes a nosedive. We're talking its worst single-day drop in 25 years. It's a total paradox, and it left Wall Street completely scratching its head. So what on earth happened?
I mean, look at this. On one side, you have the hard facts from their earnings report. Revenue shot up an incredible 38% year over year. The company was so confident, they actually raised their financial forecast for the rest of the year. But then, on the other side, you have the market's brutal verdict. The stock just plummets 14%. How can these two things even exist at the same time?
That right there is the central question we're going to tackle in this explainer. We're going to piece together all the clues to solve this mystery of why absolutely spectacular news led to such a spectacular failure in the market. So let's start with the good news, shall we?
And believe me, the news was very good. In the second quarter alone, Eli Lilly pulled in $15.56 billion in revenue. That is a massive number. It's being driven by what's become, the hottest sector in pharmaceuticals right now, weight loss drugs. So where did all that cash come from?
Well, this revenue explosion really came from two blockbuster drugs. First, Zepbound, their dedicated weight loss drug, saw its revenue grow by a mind-boggling 172%. Then its sister drug, Mounjaro, which is mainly for diabetes but uses the same active ingredient, grew by a massive 68%. These drugs are absolute rockets. They're totally redefining the company's success.
And, this wasn't just some one-off success story. The company looked at all this incredible momentum and basically told the world, hey, we think we can do even better. They raised their full-year guidance across the board, which signals extreme confidence. So you've got record sales, you've got blockbuster drugs, and a super bullish outlook. It's the perfect story, which honestly just makes the stock crash even more baffling. Let's start looking for some clues.
Okay, our first clue. It really lies in understanding how Wall Street works. See, in a high-stakes market like this one, reality is, well, it's never just reality. It's judged against what was expected. And for a stock that was flying as high as Eli Lilly's, those expectations were just astronomical. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. On the exact same day as those glowing earnings, Lilly also released trial data for its new oral weight loss drug, a pill called orforglipron. The trial was a success. It showed an average weight loss of around 12%. Now, objectively, that's a great result. But it just wasn't what Wall Street was hoping for. Investors had their sights set on a number closer to 15%, and that created this crucial and ultimately fatal gap between perception and reality.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the point. As the YouTube channel Couch Investor pointed out, even though the drug met all its primary goals, it just fell short of that whisper number. In this game, good simply wasn't great enough. But why? Why were the expectations for this one specific drug so ridiculously high? Well, that leads us to our next clue.
The thing is, Eli Lilly isn't operating in a vacuum here. It's fighting a brutal, high-stakes war for dominance in the weight loss market, and its main rival is the European company Novo Nordisk. To really get why the market reacted this way, you have to understand the battlefield. So the key here is really the science behind these drugs. Novo Nordisk's first-generation blockbuster, Wegovy, it targets a single hormone called GLP-1 to suppress appetite. But Eli Lilly's big breakthrough was creating a drug that targets two hormones, GLP-1 and GIP. And this dual-target approach, it's proven to be even more effective for weight loss.
And that scientific edge has had a very clear result in the real world. Lilly's dual-target drugs, they're now considered superior in how well they work. They've been rapidly, and I mean rapidly, gaining market share from Novo Nordisk as doctors increasingly prescribe them to new patients. So, Lilly is already winning the current battle of injectable drugs.
And that is why the trial results for their new oral drug mattered so much. The market wasn't just asking, hey, is this a good pill? No, it was asking, is this a knockout blow? Is this the drug that ensures Lilly's total dominance over Novo for the next decade? And when the answer came back as, well, it's good, but maybe not a knockout, investors panicked.
But there's still one more clue, and this one's hidden inside that good news.
Our final clue is a little more subtle. You have to dig into the details of that amazing earnings report to find it. But it reveals a trend that has long-term investors pretty worried. So here's where the picture gets a bit complicated. While the volume of drugs Lilly sold grew by a massive 42%, they are moving a ton of product, the average price they got for each unit actually fell by 6%. Why? Well, because of intense pressure from insurance companies and government programs to bring down these high costs.
So yeah, while revenue is soaring today because of that huge volume, this downward pressure on price raises a big red flag about future profitability. The market is always looking ahead, right? And it saw this trend as a potential threat to Lilly's earnings down the road, no matter how many pills they manage to sell.
So now we have all the pieces. Let's put them all together, solve this mystery, and see what it all means for the future.
The verdict is pretty clear, isn't it? It wasn't one single thing that sank Eli Lilly's stock. It was a perfect storm. First, you had those sky-high expectations for their new oral drug that just weren't quite met. Second, the result wasn't seen as that decisive death blow in the fierce war with their biggest rival. And finally, you had these hidden concerns about long-term pricing and profitability that just spooked the market.
So what should you take away from all this? Well, for one, the diet pill war is far from over. The future battlegrounds are clear. It's the race for a convenient and effective oral pill. It's the development of even more powerful next-generation drugs that might target 3 or more hormones. It's that ever-present threat of patents expiring, and it's the ongoing messy fight over pricing and who actually gets access to these transformative medicines. And let me tell you, the stakes could not possibly be higher. Analysts are projecting that the total market for these weight loss drugs could reach a staggering $150 billion by 2035. This is one of the biggest commercial opportunities in the entire history of medicine.
Which leaves us with one last really provocative question. When the prize is this enormous and the competition is this fierce, can anyone really afford to be anything but the undisputed winner? The market's reaction to Eli Lilly's good news, well, it seems to have already given us its answer.